Huh? Oh, hello there. So I'm sure you saw the thumbnail and you read the title. I decided to take it upon myself to look at both sides of the NBA 2K community when it comes to NBA 2K23's still situation. We hear people from both sides screaming Nerf stills or leave the game alone, it's perfect. Now, as we know, just like in real life, there's usually three sides to every story. We have one side, we have the other side, and then we have the truth. And today we're going to do a deep dive on all three sides. So join me, President Q, in the curious case of stills. Let's get into it. All right, so first, let's make a case for people wanting to nerf stills in NBA 2K23. One factor that's causing the uproar is realism. When it comes to the glove badge, the actual man that the glove was named after, Gary Payton, only averaged 2.5 steals in his highest season, also while playing 38 minutes a game. That's a lot of minutes. Now we'll say in about half of that time, we play about 20 minutes in rec and pro-am, or maybe even 10 minutes at most inside the park. So how do we have people averaging 4 steals a game? Now you could say it comes down to user error, but if we're talking the law of averages, you should only average about a steal a person a game. Now would that be fun? No. But as someone who knows about steals and has been watching the game of basketball for a long time, we understand that the people that are the greatest at steals aren't necessarily the best defenders. Allen Iverson, Steph Curry, to name a few. And then you have the very few like Kawhi Leonard that were able to average 2.4, 2.6 a game. Basically, most people that you see averaging 4 or 5 steals a game, that's not a real number we should go off. But we're not robots and this is not a simulation. So while I understand that point, we also have to give some credit to user error. Now, let's get into the next point that they might use. A lot of people feel like there's a lack of consistency when it comes to steals. No matter what side you're coming from, let's admit it, there's a lot of spam when it comes to the steals. And it looks like 2K tried to make precautions and people risking steals and make them cost more by having the person spamming lose a bar. But I would argue you should lose a chunk of stamina while also losing one of your energy boosts. As somebody who's good at steals myself, I find them unrewarding. I don't feel like I'm timing correctly. I don't even feel like I'm in the right position half the time. Hell, as a ball handler, I don't feel like when I get the ball stolen from me, it's fair because they're not in the correct position and they didn't time the ball the correct way. Usually you're not getting a clean steal out of somebody's hand when the ball is coming up to your hand. Now when it's coming down, yeah, that's usually when a ball handler is at their most vulnerable. But in 2K, you just have people karate chopping the ball, catching it backwards. I've seen somebody do, lunging right at me in a double team. You just don't see in real life like that. You're just not going to do that. Very rarely in the NBA do you see somebody run away from the man they're guarding, double team somebody, and smack the ball out their hands like it's a cartoon. Now tell me, with the way that 2K servers are and the delay online, and also with the button input delay, and also with people being able to just double team and the smaller courts and putting all those independent variables together, it kind of draws in the question of what are you supposed to do as a ball handler at times, especially when you're playing with randoms. But we'll get to the randoms. We'll talk about them later, don't worry. Final point for people wanting to nerf steals: by the numbers. Recently, NBA 2K Labs released a chart showing just how strong Hall of Fame glove is against people who don't have unpluckable, which, by the way, is a pretty expensive badge to get on your person, and it's a very needed badge, but some people can only have it on bronze. Some people actually can get it up to gold. Very rarely can you get it on Hall of Fame. So actually, let's just take Hall of Fame out of the equation because Hall of Fame unpluckable is arguably unreachable unless you're a small point guard. Now, what are we going to do with somebody who has a 99 steal? Now, I'll also tell you this: a 99 steal is probably the easiest attribute to get to 99 without costing you much other attributes in expense. I've seen people still be able to shoot. I've seen people still be able to dribble. I've seen people be able to still play all the other aspects of defense while having a 99 steal. Now, if you go 99 ball handling or even 95 ball handling, it costs you a lot more. And I think we all know that. So basically, you're going to run into more steal spammers than you are going to run into Hall of Fame unpluckable ball handlers. So that was for all my people who are claiming Nerf steals. Very good points. Now let's move on to the other point of view, and that's the people who are saying don't touch anything. Now let's look at some of the reasons why they might say that. For one, I think as a community we can all agree with this. We want selfish players to be punished. Now while we are having good dribblers and good passers being punished alongside with these greedy people, we gotta take the good with the bad. There's a lot of people who are dribbling and holding the ball way too long, getting that ball ripped out their hands, as they should. Actually, there's some people losing the ball like 1 second into the possession, but we'll just ignore that. A lot of us feel the only way you can punish these over dribblers is steals. Otherwise, it will be like the other 2Ks, an ISO fest. And I don't know about you, I'm not a fan of spending all this money on my game to watch somebody ISO. And we can all agree that if you're inefficient with your dribbles, if you're doing too much, or if you're not doing enough, then yeah, you deserve to get ripped, or at least put into a bad position. Now, this is the second point of view that a lot of people aren't talking about because a lot of people don't want to admit this. But some of these off-ball players, some of these randoms that we play with, are very bad. I'm not gonna lie, over this last weekend I played the double XP in the rec. It was an experience that I wouldn't wish on anybody. Not really. So I play as a 6'7" shooting guard that actually gets placed at point guard more often than shooting guard. And yeah, I was able to see some of the habits of some of you off-ball players or some of you cold ball handlers out there. I found myself in situations where my teammates were way too far from me or way too close for me to even do what I wanted to do as a ball handler, which would end up leading to, of course, me getting ripped. Like for instance, if I'm dribbling the ball up the court and everybody's standing in the paint or inside the 3-point line and there's no passing lanes for me, what am I supposed to do if I'm getting double teamed right off the jump? Who am I supposed to give the ball to? The passing lanes are all taken up and there's a guy barreling at me getting ready to knock the ball out my hand like a home run. I have nowhere to go. I'm stuck. I'm dead in the water. And there's times where teammates would make unnecessary cuts or they'll overcrowd the dribbler or just put themselves in bad spots. Like stand still, god dang it. Stand still for once. Find a spot and chill so that way the ball handler can get situated. But when you have all this random movement, when you have all this random placement with these randoms who don't really know how to space out the court or understand how an offensive formation should look, you find yourself in a bad situation as a ball handler where it's not necessarily your fault as to why you're getting ripped. It's just everyone around you is not giving you either the space or the access to passing the ball, which you probably intend to do, but you can't pass it because there's nowhere to go. Everyone's in such a bad position. So it puts you in a spot where it's either, all right, these cats are going to run at me and knock the ball out my hand and steal it, or I'm going to pass the ball into the passing lane because, you know, that's all they do is camp passing lanes on this game. And that's going to be a steal anyway. So it's either a turnover, or I could just shoot and then everyone's going to look at me like an idiot. So it's a lose. And here is point number 3 that I hear a lot of people talking about, and that is how 2K overcorrects its. Now this isn't just with steals, it's happened with shooting, it's happened with dunking, it's happened with other aspects of defense in the past. But we all know the NBA 2K developers are notorious for either overpowering something or heavily nerfing something into the ground to where it's barely usable. And nobody wants steals to be unusable. There's people who actually wouldn't mind a little bit of a unpluckable buff or a steals nerf, but they just want it a little bit. But we know how 2K works. They're gonna end up making unpluckable overpowered, and we're gonna go back to ISO ball all day, or you're gonna end up nerfing steals into the ground. All right, so now you're probably wondering, President, what do we do now? Well, this is my gavel or whatever. Like, I'm about to give my verdict. I believe there should be a very slight, small buff to unpluckable bronze, silver, gold, because that helps the common man out. And I would argue, yeah, maybe we should nerf steals. And this is why. Because the same arguments you guys make for steals, you can make for actually playing defense. Now hear me out. Remember what I said about being in a good position and timing and actually being able to correctly forecast where somebody's going to go? Well, guess what? You can do that with just playing defense. I feel like there should be more bumps, more on-ball bumps, and more forced ball pickups. Because unlike getting 5 steals a game, people picking up the ball happens more often than that. Now in the world I come from, I believe that yes, you should nerf passing lane and on-ball steals to the point where unless it's a really stupid decision they're making, or they're just out here with the ball and they're doing too much and they're wasting stamina, then you shouldn't be ripping all these cats like this. Like, there's points where I get ripped and I don't even have a chance to do anything. It feels RNG. But I'll tell you what could be my fault. If my man is guarding me and I'm trying to go this way, and I'm trying to go that way, and I'm dribbling this way, I'm dribbling that way, and he's still on me and bumping me the whole time, I should get bullied, pick it up. Now they have it a little bit with clamps, but with the way clamp breaker works, it's not getting the job done, bro. It's really not getting the job done. And I'm pretty sure I speak for a lot of us where we rather reward people who are actually playing defense, body to body, good positioning, good predictions on people's movement, rather than you just having to spam one button all day and just run at people, sprinting, spamming the button like a crackhead. It's too much. And I don't want to hear people in the comments saying, oh man, you're bad at stills. I've always been good at stills. Actually, I haven't even just been good. I've always been great at stills. In the games where I have 500 of my friends list playing NBA 2K, I've always been in the top 3 in stills. Always. So this is coming from somebody who's a beneficiary of the stills. Now, for the people that are saying leave the game alone, I hear you. I don't trust 2K to correctly balance the game either. So yeah, they probably should leave it alone. But also recognize that the game has an imbalance. It's okay. It's okay to recognize that the game's not perfect. It's a great game. Amazing game. It's not perfect though. Most things in this world aren't, and that's okay. But if you can't even acknowledge, or you're out here gaslighting people who have to play with randoms or run with these crazy psycho 99 competitive dudes out here who are just spamming on them, getting steals, and they feel like it's not fair and they're doing everything within their power between passing and making the smart dribbles and they're still getting ripped, what can you say? Especially if you run with a full team all the time. You don't, your whole opinion's kind of invalidated. Of course they're going to give you the space. Of course they're going to be in the position to catch the ball and not give you turnovers. Or if you can't not buff body ups and force ball pickups, then at least do this. Make steals to where they're just like blocks. They're more positioning and timing based. If we can do that, I have no complaint. I really don't. Well, how can I complain if you time the ball correctly, if you time my dribble correctly, if you're in the correct position? Why would I be mad? But that's the thing. You can literally steal the ball from any position except for the ball handler's opposite hip side. And I've done the test. I have them on the screen right now. Do you think I have the correct verdict on how steals can be correctly fixed? That way the complaining can like completely stop, and I'd argue we have pretty much a perfect game after that. But other than that, if you're new to this channel and you like this kind of video, go ahead and hit that like button, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, and come back for more. This has been your President Q, and otherwise I'll talk to your ugly sexy face later. I'm out. Peace.